I was so hard on myself this morning. If you struggle with that negative voice in your head, or you're just extra critical of yourself, as somebody who has done a lot of healing work and teaches others how to do that, and is super self-aware, let me kind of talk you through how those little voices in my head were very critical and judgy of me this morning and how I shifted them. So this morning was a really cool opportunity to go into my children's school, they're elementary age, and talk to a class about podcasting because they're creating a podcast in their class. And I've been podcasting for 8 years. Unblock Your BS, that's the newer podcast. Go check it out. And so I've had almost 1 million downloads between 2 different podcasts that I've been doing. So I'm well versed in it, right? I'm credible. And these are like 5 to 11-year-olds. They're not creating massive podcasts, right? They're just trying to learn the basics of like creating a flow and like how to do a little bit of basic editing from essentially iMovie. So not super complex. So I was all excited because my daughter is in this class and she was all excited to have me come in. And so I'm giving the presentation. Now there was not much talk between me and the teacher about what all was the expectation. And so I'm trying to teach it in a way that's like kid appropriate of like the basics. And so I do that and I answer some questions they have. And then we get into a little bit of editing towards the end. And the teacher said, as she was like thanking me for coming, she said, the editing part was great, which was probably maybe 5 minutes out of a 25 minute presentation. And my brain immediately went, the rest of the presentation wasn't good enough. You should have spent more time on the editing piece. You could have gone deeper. Like these kids need to know how to edit and you only showed them the basics. And my mind just went, boo, it wasn't good enough. What? Okay. So I'm walking out to the car and like, I just feel regret almost of like, oh God, maybe I should like write out, step-by-steps on how to do some basic editing. So they know, like, are the kids going to know how to be set up for success? It was such a hypercritical judgment of myself for teaching elementary school kids how to podcast, which again is going to be like another probably 3 weeks of their life. And then they move on to just being kids and doing other things in school. But in my head, it was like, it wasn't good enough. Why? Because that's my default wound, right? Like I understand that about myself, that's going to be a default narrative of just my core wound. And I've worked through a lot of it. And so I got in my car and I paused before I drove off and I went, okay, hold on. First of all, there were no expectations coming into this that this was going to be anything different than what it was. There wasn't a whole lot of context behind what needed to be taught. And you did a really good job of explaining things. And as I finally started driving and I was going to go get my emotional support Starbucks, I was like, oh, I should have used this one example of a hamburger of like how you layer audio and video and sound effects because they were all excited about sound effects. And how do we add sound effects? And I showed them how to do that. But in my head, I was like, you didn't show them good enough. And it just kept on for a good 15 to 20 minutes of all the things I should have done better to teach differently, as if what I did was not already valuable and enough. And so I finally got home and I've had to sit with myself and talk myself through the lies that my brain are wanting to tell me that it wasn't good enough. According to who was it not good enough? What my interpretation of what the teacher said, that her words were, the editing part was great, which I heard and turned into editing part is great. And I filled in the gap of what she didn't say, which was not alluded to, nor did she say it, of the rest of it wasn't all that good or wasn't all that valuable. She didn't say that, nor did she imply it. Nor did it matter even if she did, because the presentation was over and the kids are like off to doing their things. Nobody else is thinking about this except for me right now. They're all off doing their own thing, right? As if I've set them up to fail. They have way more information about podcasting now than they did, before. So why? Why was I so critical of myself? It's because our brain is in a survival response. And apparently this morning, what I kind of started talking to myself to is I must be more sensitive right now. Whether that's because I'm a woman and I'm hormonal, sure, probably part of that. Maybe I've been burning myself out, so I'm just constantly looking for validation outside because I haven't been giving it to myself. Okay, how do we correct that? So you know what I started doing? I started saying to myself, whoa. Hey, you're being super hard on yourself. You did great. Like, don't let a really cool opportunity and experience get ruined because of one passing comment that you filled in to be negative. You're not even like proud of the fact that the technical part of it, which actually isn't a part of what I do. I have a team for that. I figured it out on the fly to show them on my phone how you use iMovie. And I figured it out right then and there. Why am I not focusing on that? Oh, because I want to focus on the perceived negativity. Why? Girl, you did so good. You did so good. Those kids were just like in awe of a podcaster being in front of them. I mean, anybody can be in front of a microphone and call themselves a podcaster, right? But they're like, how do we get celebrities on? I'm like, you got a lot of money? That's how you do it. Right? And my daughter, more than anything, was just so proud to have her mom there and like, be like, yeah, that's my mom. Whereas a lot of kids might be embarrassed if their parents came to like talk to their class. I don't know. So all of that to say that you're human. And how can you start to have more positive self-talk by way of being kind to yourself and empathetic? And just pausing instead of letting the spiral of doom and negativity and you suck and you could have done, should have done better. My goal for today, moving forward, is to be gentle with myself, to be extra, extra, extra gentle with myself. Because apparently that critical voice in my head is turned up quite loudly. And I need to counterbalance that with some kindness and emotional support, Starbucks. So right now, the thought in my head is going to give myself some grace. Anytime that thought of, okay, maybe I should have done differently comes in, I'm going to go, nope. We're going to pause and we're going to, what do I want to do with that negative thought? Because it doesn't have to stay in here. Believe it or not, you can actually shift your thoughts. You can change your thoughts. So I like the visual of either lighting my thoughts on fire or kind of like using them like a piece of paper and crumpling it up and imagining in my head punting that piece of paper across a football field and it just kind of goes off into oblivion. Either way is fine. It's like, no, I'm not thinking that thought. That thought can go. I'm going to replace it with a different thought. I'm going to replace it with, that was a really cool opportunity. I'm so glad I got to go do that for my daughter. Right. And I'm really glad that she got to like show off her mom in a sense, because I have been podcasting for a very long time and I know what I'm talking about. It's just, I don't know, it was, nope. There goes the negative again. See, I just did it. No, we're not thinking that. That was a really cool opportunity. Period. End of sentence. Thought is over. Now we're going to focus on putting this out into the world and letting it be imperfect. In fact, I love the fact that I'm imperfect. I love the fact that I'm human. I love the fact that my brain is something that has neuroplasticity, meaning it can change, meaning I can shift my focus. I can be kind to myself. I can feel okay in this moment. I get to feel okay with this moment. I get to share my experiences. I get to share my knowledge. Wow, what a cool thing that podcasting is, that I get to talk and there are thousands of people who sometimes want to listen to that. And if that's you and you want to deep dive self-awareness and healing, and especially when it comes to relationships, Unblock Your BS, right? And I'm really good at plugging that in a way that makes sense and is relevant to you, right? So be kind to yourself. So what's one thing that you can say to yourself today to be kind? And let's just get practicing on that. You have to get in the habit and the routine, because you've gotten in a long habit and routine of speaking negatively to yourself. So fucking stop it. All right. And hey, my name's Tara and I'm on a mission to create a self-aware army. And I'm doing this work in real time, trying to be that for myself as well.